we have noticed that there has been a change in the philosophy or the concept of how they look at themselves, how organizations look at themselves. So for this, I'm talking about organizations that actually create products. I'm talking about organizations who are for profit. Okay, these are for-profit organizations, typically companies that actually sell things. Okay, whether it's services or products, tangible or intangible items, they actually sell things. Okay, that's the scope here. So in actual fact, historically over time, you can see that we actually move from the production concept to the product concept to the selling concept, to the marketing concept, and then through the market value punya concept. Okay, and this actually indicates a shift in philosophy, a shift in mindset within organizations. So over time, you will see that things actually don't stay exactly the same. Companies don't stay exactly the same. Rather, they evolve over time. There are changing perceptions of how to actually do things, right? So what happened was that we actually started with the production concept where the assumption was that consumers would want products which are widely available and also very affordable. So here, when they actually run their organization, they focus on making the product that they can sell to a lot of people and distribute to a lot of people. The focus is on the product, on making the product and then making the product available. And then over time, they start to change. Over time, they realize, oh, okay, just having a product that's affordable is not enough. So they start to move to the product concept where you can actually see there is actually a change of mindset where they start to focus on quality. They start to focus on quality, on creating the best product possible. They start to focus on introducing innovation into the product. That means you can see that there is a improvement in just producing a product that everybody can use to products that actually have got innovative features within them. Then after that, there was another shift in the mindset when you can see that companies actually start to move to the selling concept. And inside the selling concept, the perception within the organization is that the consumers need to be approached. That means you need to do sales activities, you need to do outreach activities, you need to communicate with the consumer before the consumer will actually buy the product. So here they focus on, or they really zoom into the fact that they need to sell. Okay, so you can see here initially it was produce, product, and then the next step here when they go into selling, the focus then is we have to have selling activities. We have to approach the customer. We don't assume that the customer will just drop on our lap or come to us and start buying from us. So we have to do some activities. So that was the start of the selling concept within an organization. Then after that, they started to evolve again. They go into the marketing concept. So within the marketing concept, what happened was that in the marketing concept, they start to come up with this term called customer centered. That means the customer is at the very heart of the operations. The organization produces their products and services by trying to understand what the consumer wants. So if you've actually taken digital marketing MKT 521 before, you would have come across this phrase, which is known as sense and respond. So sense and respond would mean that they sense what is going on with the consumer, with the customer, and they respond with evolving their products and services within their organization. So when the customer is right at the center of the philosophy that underpins the organization, you will see that this is a shift to the marketing punya concept. Okay, the marketing punya concept. And then now in the present, what we have is that we have the market value concept. So in the market value concept, what happens is that not only do we recognize that we focus on consumers, that means it's customer-centered, but rather the approach within the organization is that it is a value-based view. So a value-based view would mean that within an organization, they understand that all the processes that they have within the organization actually contributes towards and are interdependent to actually deliver value ultimately to the customer. So this would be, for example, if you actually think of a person like Steve Jobs. So Steve Jobs was the CEO of, or the founder of Apple, right? And he's actually well known to actually meddle into design, meddle into the software. He plays a very big role in saying that, or in dictating that it needs to be aesthetic and so on. Okay, so I'm just trying to highlight here that Steve Jobs actually goes in to every level to actually try to make sure that at every level, the different departments actually create a product that is actually customer centered. It actually fits into what does the customer actually want. All right, it tries to deliver value at every stage in the organization, which in actual fact, truly, within an organization, all the departments are actually interdependent to actually deliver that final product, that final value to the customer. Okay, because the customer interacts with um, the frontliners, and they are also dependent on other departments to actually create that sort of deliver that value at any one point of time. So in a nutshell, what you see on this slide is that there has been a shift in the philosophy and mindset within organizations, starting a long time ago with the production concept, where they have a focus ataupun pendekatan on just producing products in a very affordable way, and then people will buy. That was the assumption. And over time, you see that they actually evolve into the selling concept, and then evolve into the marketing concept. And then presently, we all try to practice the market value concept. Okay. So some would argue that the production concept is actually outdated and obsolete, that we don't practice this anymore. It's a historical concept, and then we are learning it to actually show the difference in the philosophies that actually guide businesses. Okay, so but you can decide for yourself by observing the businesses that are in Malaysia, whether they are still focused on production, product selling, or are they at market value. Okay, so here, to understand how the philosophy actually interacts with how the organization actually functions, we can look at this example here. All right. So if you pay attention to the table, you akan nampak ada company. Okay, the company name, different types of company here, very well-known companies. And then what is the difference between the philosophy and the assumptions within the organization? Sekiranya dia ada product definition, ataupun they approach their philosophy through a product punya approach versus a market value punya approach. Okay, so if they are focused very much on the product, okay, for a company like the Union Pacific Railroad, which is a rail company, basically is a KTM, all right? Malaysian equivalent is a KTM. If you have a KTM, if they are very product orientated, then they will always focus on saying that they actually run a railroad company. They run a train company lah, basically. Okay, and if they are focused on that, sometimes that can actually limit them from the businesses that they actually do. So for instance, if they are actually market value orientated, okay, if they're market value orientated, they will actually realize that they don't run a railroad company. Rather, what they do is that they use their railroads to actually move people and goods. People being consumers, goods being businesses, other businesses when they want to transport their goods and so on, they might actually use the railroad. So if they don't focus on railroad, that means that they don't obsess over the fact that they run railroads, then they actually future-proof themselves in the sense that they can embrace other types of technologies. When they do their research and development, they can come up with other types of technologies that can actually move people and goods. And so they don't limit themselves. They don't limit themselves to just needing to be KTM. They need to have the train. Their business understanding is tied back to the train, because it doesn't necessarily only need to be the train. This company can expand, can diversify, can do research and development to actually come up with other types of transportation. It could be, for example, a tram. It could be a different, completely different understanding of how to move things. They can expand into different types of technology that can actually move people and goods that go beyond a train or go beyond a rail. But if they are just completely focused on the train itself and the railroad itself, then it actually um, gives them no room to play with future technologies that are actually coming. Okay, so that those are how that's example of how philosophy can actually influence how a company actually functions. So when they're obsessed about being KTM, and KTM needs to have a train, a gerabak, needs to be on the ground, then it actually limits them in the future. So here, when we talk about market value, right? When we talk about market value, you can see that a lot of companies now, especially the bigger companies, have already moved into market value punya definition, where you can see that they start to open up their takrif or definition of what is it that they actually do, so that it enables them space to actually embrace new types of technologies, new types of consumer lifestyles, and they're able to actually cater to it. All right. So while sometimes we think philosophy ni untuk apa, it's not actually very important, ataupun kita tak nampak dia punya impact until we break it down. When we break it down, then we see, oh, okay, the philosophy does actually play a role. How the CEO actually envisions the company actually does play a role in how the organization actually functions over time. Okay, all right. So now that we've seen that different types of philosophies can actually impact how organizations function, we go into uh, the marketing department. So what we're trying to understand here in this couple of slides is how the marketing department is actually organized. There can be different types of organizations depending on uh, what is the function of the marketing department, and also how does the organization do business. Okay, so typically when we organize the marketing department, that means that typically at this point, when you reflect on how the organization is structured, okay, how the organization is structured, we have a few types, very common types that we usually use to describe the structure. Okay, so these common types could be, they could be functional organization. That means that it is according to their function. Okay, you can see here, when we say that it is according to a function, then it is derived by what does that department actually do. So for example, here, the communication department, which might actually go out and handle all communication activities such as their public relations, such as their social media and so on, for example, actually sits under communication here. So very clearly here, this is based on function. Okay, so what I like to highlight here is that when you have different types of structure, each structure actually has pros and cons. There's no perfect structure. Tak ada. It does not exist. Okay, so each structure actually has pros and cons. So how the company actually chooses is that it chooses based on its nature of business. They will come up with the best type of structure that actually serves them. So you see, when you go through companies, you will see that different companies actually have different structures. Some of them, they will explain a little bit more. They will tell you, we use this structure because A, B, C, D, and E, and F. So it's for us, when we look at companies, we're trying to observe, okay, the structure is functional. Why is it functional? So we try to reflect, oh, it's functional because, okay, it makes sense to their business. They have a couple of brands. They have 2 or 3 key brands, and they can actually manage all under a product manager. Okay, so they go through different functions. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to recognize, okay, yeah, ada different types of structure, kenapa dia ada structure macam ni? That's what we want to reflect on. Kenapa dia ada structure macam ni? Okay, so that's functional. And we also have the next one, which is geographical. So geographical is also pretty straightforward, where you can already guess that geographical means that it is actually put into subsections based on dia punya location. So when you think of, for example, Hilton Hotels is spread across the world. They have branches across the world. And so for them, where the product is actually quite streamlined, their service is quite streamlined. When you go to a Hilton, you know it's a 5-star hotel, all right? They might actually, it might actually make more sense to their organization to manage their structure or come up with a structure that is by different regions. So kalau Malaysia, you have Malaysia Central, Malaysia North, Malaysia South, Malaysia Borneo, and so on. Okay, so like I said, what we want to do is we want to reflect, okay, why is this organization geographical? How does that structure actually serve them? Okay, then we also have product or brand organization. So product and brand organization typically would mean that that organization might actually manage a lot of different brands. Okay, so if that organization actually manages a lot of different brands, you can already start to think about companies like fast-moving consumer goods. Okay, wait, let me type. Fast-moving consumer goods, okay, FMCG. So fast-moving consumer goods would be the companies that sell items that you can actually find in the grocery store. So if you go to Aeon, or if you go to Jaya Grocer, a lot of the items that are sold there actually sold by companies which are specializing in fast-moving consumer goods. Fast-moving consumer goods. Consumer goods yang selalu orang beli. Okay, macam roti, sabun, macam kopi dan sebagainya. Okay, so what are big companies, or what are key companies that are important in the world that actually are in fast-moving consumer goods? It could be a company like Unilever, right? And Unilever sells things like Dove punya soap, Lux punya soap, Axe body spray, and so on. Okay, so you can already start to imagine for a company like Unilever, they might have a lot of brands under them. In fact, while I'm talking here, what you can do is you can just quickly Google Unilever's brands. So when you Google Unilever's brands, you will find that they have what, 30, 40, 50 brands under their portfolio. So for them, for this type of companies where they have multiple brands, boleh sampai 30, 40, 50 brands, it will make sense for them to actually organize their department based on their punya product or brand organization. Okay, that means for sabun, for example, sabun pun dia ada 10 ke, ada 15, something like that. For each brand that they have, for example, Dove, dia memang ada satu brand manager. So it's that brand manager that is in charge of that entire brand punya activities. Apa dia nak buat semua falls on the brand manager punya shoulder. So this diagram here, you can actually see that untuk that particular type of structure, brand manager ni dia akan berinteraksi dengan banyak department within Unilever. Dialah orang yang akan pergi plan dan follow through sales promotion. Dialah yang akan approve dia punya product design, whether it makes sense kepada dia punya consumer ataupun tidak. For example, just very basic punya things macam bila kita beli sabun ke, kita nak beli berapa liter. Okay, refill packet dia kalau nak laris kita nak jual berapa mililiter. Okay, betul ke kita nak jual 3 liter sabun? Siapa nak carry 3 liter punya sabun, 5 liter punya sabun? I pun tak terangkat. Okay, so we have to find, and that's based on consumer feedback. Consumers will actually respond. If it actually makes sense to them, consumers will actually respond to it. So it's the product manager that will actually decide on all these things and execute and push through their punya marketing programs for that particular year. So this is useful. Like I told you, there's no perfect punya structure. The structure will make sense based on the company and what sort of business the company does, how the company actually moves, and so on. Okay, so that is organization based on product and also brand organization. Other than that, we also have market organization and also metrics organization. Market organization is when an organization actually has different types of markets or caters to different types of markets. So they might have the consumer market, that means they jual kepada people like you and me. Okay. They might also have business markets, that means they are the product that they sell to other businesses. So these type of companies could be companies macam Petronas, because Petronas has got a lot of different types of petroleum and petroleum products. And these petroleum products not only are sold to us via the what station minyak to direct to consumer, but you will also see that they also have a lot of business consumers where they sell different categories of petroleum derivatives. So for example, mungkin dia jual kepada syarikat flight company. For example, maybe they are the the people who actually deliver to Mars. For example, in KLIA and so on, they are the people who give the petrol to KLIA for flights and so on and so forth. Okay, so you will see that for these type of organizations, what they have is that they have different categories of consumers lah. So they might have everyday consumers, they might have businesses, they might also be selling to government markets. Okay, so for them, it would make more sense for the marketing department to actually be categorized in the types of markets that they actually serve. So the team that actually takes care of different types of consumers, because these different types of consumers actually have different needs. Okay, so essentially these are their different segments actually. Okay, then we also have metrics organization. So for metrics organization, what happens is that the name matrix means that dia sediakan satu matrix, that means kotak, 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 right? A matrix is in a sense multiple boxes, okay? And what happens in the matrix organization is that the team that's in charge of that brand or the team that's actually in charge of the product line actually reports to multiple leaders. Okay, so for here, when we talk about metrics organization, there are some organizations that actually you will see that it is team-based, and also they have to actually take orders and they have to get clearance from multiple leaders. So for example, finance matters go to the finance head, legal matters go to the legal head, and they have to actually get the input from all these different leaders to actually move. Okay, so there are many more structures that you can find out there. Sometimes organizations themselves create their own structure based on what their organization actually needs. So these are just the common ones. These are the most common ones of how to actually go out and organize a marketing department. Okay, okay. So to manage the marketing department, there are two very important portfolios right on the top of the organization, which is the CEO and also the CMO. Okay, so what the CEO does is that the CEO actually moves all the key departments. The CEO runs the whole company. And here, the CEO, when it comes to marketing matters, the CEO has to realize the importance of marketing. They have to put stress on marketing activities. They have to allocate the budget for the marketing department. So typically, the marketing department or the marketing function is overseen by a chief marketing officer or the CMO. Okay, so the CMO is the one that has control over the budget line. The entire marketing spending falls under the CMO. So what the CMO needs to do is typically the CMO actually oversees the spending activities where this person wants to focus on, how they want to do their integrated marketing communications, and how they will actually get back the value from the consumer. So this all falls under the Chief Marketing Officer punya portfolio. Okay, so a Chief Marketing Officer's role is no small role. Okay, because if you remember, if you look at an organization, let's say it's an organization like Nike, who makes sports apparel, naturally, within that organization of Nike, there are some departments that actually make the apparel, design the apparel, come up with the latest technology for shoes and so on. Okay, so for me to say that those departments are not important, definitely I can't say that, because they are the ones that are producing the apparel. Okay, they are the ones that are choosing the colors, making sure that the production schedule is on schedule, that the goods are actually made and so on. Okay, made and so on. So here, for me to say those departments are not important, tidak, cannot, because those departments are actually important. However, when we look at all the departments within an organization, we have to consider which is the department that actually actively goes out and tries to get the sales, right? So they can make very good products, but don't forget they also have to market the products. So marketing department is very unique in the sense that within all the departments within the organization, the marketing department is the one that is tasked with objectives to bring in sales. Okay, they are directly responsible for it. So this shoulders of this CMO, okay, a very important task actually fall under this CMO to actually make sure that they can do all this to make sure that they can reach the target. Okay, so you can make the best product in the world, but don't forget that we still have to make sure that we market the product to our consumers, right? So KB is the head that wears the crown. Okay, so no small feat to actually be the chief marketing officer, right? So marketing department, without a doubt, needs to also work with other departments, and you will see that typically in a more traditional marketing outfit, they definitely have a working relationship with communication agencies. So communication is a very big part of marketing kan, where we actually go out and we spread the word about our company and so on. So that means that they will likely work with a lot of different communication agencies, which are external to the organization and also internal to the organizations, because they might actually have a big public relations punya team dan sebagainya. Okay, and then also in recent time, okay, when there's more adoption of apps, there's more adoption of online tools, the role of people in the computing departments, in the programming departments, now has become even more important inside marketing. So marketers, their job obviously is to market. However, there is a technical portion to it now. And the technical portion sits within these computing departments, these programming departments. That means that behind all these online activities, you typically will see that there might actually be teams that can handle the technical side of processing data, of generating customer insight from all the data that we get from apps. All right. So this is no small feat, because if you really think about it, if the company has an app for more than 10 years, let's say Maybank has got an app for more than 10 years, how much of your data is actually sitting inside there? And then you multiply that by how many customers they actually have over time. So when they have all this data sitting within their platforms, somebody has to take out the data and go through the data and try to get customer insight from that data to try to improve their punya performance as a company. So you can see here that marketing department usually doesn't work in silo. Rather, marketing department has an interdependent relationship with department, which brings us back, to initially we were saying that marketing activities are actually interdependent. So all departments within the organization actually has a role to play to actually deliver value. Okay, even if they are external to the company, and their role is actually to distribute the items to the consumers. Okay, okay. If you're still with me, can you please give me a thumbs up? Okay, thank you very much, Firdaus. Thank you very much, Maslan. You're still with me, still alive. Okay. All right. So now that we are done with that, we will try to go to the last portion, Okay. And the last portion actually talks about how to actually build a company that is actually customer oriented. Okay. So you see here on this slide, there are two charts here. Okay. One is shaped like a triangle, one is a circle. So the traditional organization chart is where you will see that it looks like hierarchy macam ni. And within this hierarchy or this triangle, you see that what happens typically is that top management will decide, and then top management will push down the instructions until they reach the frontline employees, and also then push down what is the company's product to the customer. Okay, it's one way. Typically is from the top management push down to the customers. Whereas we are saying, so what we're saying is that this is already obsolete. Okay, this traditional organization chart is obsolete. We don't want to do this. Rather, we want to move to the customer-oriented organization chart where, in actual fact, the customers are very important to us. So we always tune into the customer. Okay, we always tune into the customer and we always respond to them. Okay, so naturally, if you want to respond to the customer, very important within an organization is actually the frontline employees, especially for services. So for airline companies, for hotels and so on, frontline employees are actually very important because they co-create the service that's actually given to the customers. They are also always on the ground dealing with the customers, so they can give a lot of insight to the service managers and also to the top management. So here, rather than pushing down, okay, pushing down what top management actually thinks, here top management need to listen. Okay, they need to listen to their customers. The customers are very important to the organization because they are trying to create market value, okay, to give to the customers, right? So what happens is that here it's advocated, dinasihatkan, untuk top management mendengar apa yang consumer actually perlu, and then to actually respond by making sure that service managers can actually do their job. Service management pula perlu respond kepada frontline employees to make sure that frontline employees actually have the right types of instructions to create the products that the customers actually want. Okay, so dari segitiga ni kita jadi bulat. Okay, kita jadi bulat macam pizza sebab you can see here the customers are actually at the heart of the operations when you want to create value for the customers, market value. Kalau kita nak market value. Okay, therefore, what we would prefer is that kalau kita nak jadi market driven punya company, what we would prefer is that semua employees should actually develop a passion for the customers. Okay, that means that they take their job seriously, and it's not about what they want to create, it's about what the customers want. So all the members within the organization, the organization has to try to get the buy-in from their employees to actually make sure that employees actually pay attention to what is it that the customers actually want. And if what they're doing is they're always listening to their customers, then you will see that perhaps the focus is on what are the needs of the customer segments rather than they obsess about the products. What are the needs of the customers, yeah? Rather than they obsess about the product. So this is like the KTM Railroad punya example tadi. You don't want to obsess on just the product tau. You don't want to obsess on, for example, I am the best scissors manufacturer in the world. Bukan. What is it that we need when we actually use the scissors? We want to belah we want to cut the paper, we want to segregate the paper and so on. So we use a tool. So this is just a tool. This tool can always be replaced by other types of technology that actually do the same function. So that's why here it is advocated di sini that we focus on the segment. Apakah keperluan segment? Bukan obsess tentang we want to build the best scissors in the world. Bukan. Okay. The first step is actually apakah diperlukan oleh consumer. Okay. And if consumer tu dia nak potong kertas, okay, what are all the different technologies that our company has the capability to actually offer, to make, and so on, right? So here, For marketers, okay, like you, like me, we cannot run away from the fact that we always need to do research. And this research can be done through a numbers way, quantitative, ataupun through a words way, which is qualitative. That means banyak tulis diary, banyak interview customer, banyak buat focus group discussion. And then kalau quantitative maksudnya kita banyak menggunakan nombor, menggunakan data analytics untuk mendapat that insight from the customers. Okay, so at the very heart of it, you will see that we're trying to move into high customer centricity. Customer adalah penting. Keperluan customer adalah sangat-sangat penting. We go from being product driven kepada market driven. Kita tak nak mass market focus, rather kita tak move towards customer focus. Okay, and then from process oriented, kita move kepada outcome oriented. And then we don't really react to competitors. Competitors become irrelevant. Okay, and then from price driven, kita jadi value driven. So that means that if you can actually create an item that or service that the consumer really want, sometimes you don't have to give them at the cheapest price. Sometimes they're actually quite willing to pay a good price for the quality that they will get. Macam iPhone lah, right? Typically for iPhone, you'll see that it's actually a value driven punya approach. Okay? Okay. Therefore, we have reached the end of our class. Okay? You'll see that there are some reflection questions here. You can actually try to do these reflection questions. These are questions of application questions. And you know that in your test, you will not be getting straightforward questions anymore. The test is supposed to be difficult. So you will be getting a lot of application questions. So therefore, you'll see that in every slide that you're given, these applications questions are already there. You can actually sit down and just take some time to just give it a think through and see which are the concepts that you can actually apply inside here. How would you typically want to approach a question like this? Okay, you can do this by yourself. All right, you can do this by yourself. Okay, so that now we are at the end of chapter 1. Kita dah habis untuk chapter 1. And in chapter 1, what we did was we went through the scope of marketing. Kita nampak that marketing ada banyak realities, ada banyak macro environment punya factors ataupun forces that change the way organizations function, that change the way consumers live. Alright, dan kita juga telah memahami what is the role of marketing in organization. Dan kita dah tengok dia punya structure, okay, and we reflect on CEO punya role dan CMO punya role. And then we also at the end tu, bila kita tengok dia punya triangle dan juga circular dan juga kita tengok list and we reflect on KTM and railroads and so on, reflect on how to actually build a customer-centric punya organisation. Kena rajin-rajin buat research untuk listen dan respond kepada customer. Okay? Alright. So, before I end for today, are there any questions? Ada soalan ke? You have, okay, yeah, Aisyah, go ahead.
Hi madam, nak tanya, for our assignment kan, if we choose like a service company, boleh ke?
Boleh je.
Boleh je. Tapi nanti like if you want to do the marketing plan, macam isn't it hard ke?
Not really. Kalau do you have a company that you can share already?
The company in mind that we have is Security Commission.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. Because you know somebody in Security Commission, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Security Commission punya business is a bit more complex. But typically kalau if you want to choose service organisation, tak ada masalah. So for example, I give you an example. Kalau you pilih company macam Sunway ataupun Genting, it's quite straightforward actually. So because Genting, within Genting you boleh pilih Genting Hotels ataupun Genting Theme Park. And their operations are quite standard punya when they run the hotel ataupun they run dia punya theme park. So similarly, before you decide firmly on Securities Commission, you masuk dulu tengok Security Commission punya activity. Typically, Securities Commission is a little bit more complex. Tetapi you see whether within Securities Commission, you tengok dia punya activity every year, boleh tak you buat dia punya 4Ps? Boleh tak you really buat, you can imagine that you can come up with the marketing plan for them for a year. So if you can jawabnya adalah ya, you boleh buat, then you can proceed. But just typically Securities Commission itself is not so straightforward punya choice.
Faham? Okay.
Okay, so you just look around and you compare, and as a group you bincang dulu which one has got the most bahan already out there that you think will actually inform you punya marketing plan. Because a lot of marketing activities are already out there tau. You're already consuming it as a consumer. So if you actually know that particular business quite well, you can actually tell me, oh, campaign dia selalu macam ni. Like for example, Zeus Coffee, you're very familiar. Campaign dia macam ni. So you already know. You already roughly know, okay, dia kena buat macam ni sebab target market dia adalah saya. Okay, for example. Discuss among yourself and see whether what you want to choose actually.
Alright. Okay. Thank you,
Okay. All right, no worries. Okay. Any other question? Ada lagi tak soalan? Okay. Kalau tak ada soalan, let me just look at dia punya Padlet. Okay, Padlet tu I nampak dah ada satu group dah siap, which is Brand New Waves. Okay, very good. Just make sure that you actually put in dia punya company that you're thinking of, so I can check it out. Actually, I nak check actually. And if really tak sesuai, I will tell you really tak sesuai. Boleh? Can you do that?
Can, madam.
Can okay. So please don't run away yet. After this, please go and complete you punya Padlet. Jangan tunggu lama-lama. And hopefully when you complete your Padlet, you will start talking about you nak pilih company mana sebenarnya. That's my concern actually. Alright? Okay. Anything else? Kalau tidak, kita tutup untuk hari ni. Tak ada? Okay, Firdaus, thank you for the indication. Carol, Aisyah, Daniel. Okay. Okay.
Dada, one
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
If let's say we list out few companies and then basically you choose it out, which one is the best? Is it okay?
I wouldn't do that sebab I don't know who is your contact person. If you have a contact person in your family, and also what information you can get out of there. So I won't do that. I won't dictate, that you should choose this one and this one. But I will look at it. If there is one that is not suitable at all, I rasa bahaya, I will sound you. Boleh, Hazim?
Alright, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alright, no worries. Okay. Anything else? Okay, Farhin, I see you. Okay, kalau tak ada apa-apa lagi, please make sure dekat Padlet tu you naikkan the information that's needed. I remember this class is completely online tau. I memang tak nampak you all. So please upload you punya selfie dan sebagainya. Ada apa-apa soalan, silalah text dalam Telegram ataupun you boleh tanya terus dalam kelas, then everybody can actually benefit from your question. So jangan malu-malu. Okay, so kita sampai di sini saja hari ini. Saya ingin mengucapkan kepada semua orang selamat Hari Raya. Okay, please don't play with too many merchants that can harm you. But nevertheless, have a nice time. Selamat Hari Raya, everybody, and see you after the holidays. Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank you, madam.
madam.
Thank you,
Bye.
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 Selamat Hari Raya, madam.
Saya ya. Ya, Sofia. Completely random. You nak letak dalam assignment nanti pun boleh, tak ada masalah. You punya branding. Can be anything. Okay, no worries.